Salut tout le monde. Hey everybody. Now, how's that? How's that for a game? That was pretty fun. That was pretty exciting. Okay, listen, we're doing a crossover episode tonight, so I want to introduce everyone from Montreal, my colleague in Winnipeg. Brady, how's it going, buddy?
It's good, c'est bien. I can speak a little French too if you'd like me to, but you
How's
know,
your French? Is it like le
oh,
chat puis la
like
vache, là,
fluent.
type of thing, or
Non, non, je peux parler français très bon.
pas pire?
J'ai fait mon postsecondaire université française.
Bon, ben, c'est OK. En fin de compte, c'est ça. En Manitoba, il y a beaucoup de francophones. And you know what's crazy? Well, it's not crazy at all. I've been pushing Andrew. We're going to do a francophone show coming up soon in Montreal, just a francophone show. So, all you bilingual people, we invite you over. All you anglophones, you're going to have to take a night off. But for now, we're going to do it en anglais instead of la langue de Molière. And we're going to talk about that overtime win, another comeback win by the Canadiens. A frustrating game, I think, if you're the Winnipeg Jets. They dominated in shots. They dominated in high danger chances. So we'll get to that. We'll talk about the Battle of the Barons. We'll talk about Sean Monahan. We'll talk a bit about how the Winnipeg Jets are lining up this year because they're kind of in the middle. We don't know if they're going to be going up or down. So all that will be coming up soon. And in the third segment, what we shall do is we will get all the questions from our awesome community on Game Over here, and we're going to get you guys involved in the show. If you have any comments, though, during the show, don't hesitate, throw them out there. We have our producer, Robert, is on the show right now. You can't hear him, but I can hear him. And thankfully, he's here because have you noticed there's been no tech issues so far? So that is the number one reason. Hi to everyone in the chat. We appreciate all of you. And what? Matthew Perry passed away?
He did, yeah.
Oh,
Very
I'm seeing this in
sad.
the chat. Well, okay. I was gonna be that guy to be like, okay, my high school sweetheart went to school the same area, but that's a shame. Oui, absolument, Amy. J'aimerais en faire un en français. Marc-Antoine et Arpin en faire un peu bilingue là. So I'm gonna do a French podcast pretty soon. It's something I've wanted to do for a long time. All right, let's get into it. Cole Caulfield didn't score that overtime goal, but it was still a pretty impressive performance by the Montreal Canadiens just to have that will to win. Brady, I want to hear your take on how this all went down because I'm sure you're not looking at it with rosy glasses like I am.
Yeah, I mean, like looking at the Habs side of things, I mean, the big takeaways for me was, I mean, Jake Allen was a stud tonight.
Hell yeah.
Absolutely saved you guys. I mean, when you get 19 shots against in the first
First
period,
period. Seven high danger chances, I think.
that's a lot of good saves he had to make, especially even like later on in the game. Like that kept them in the game, especially like you look at this game, and I think that from the Habs side of things, what you really want to take away is the resilience that they had to stay with the Jets, considering, the Jets, like let's be honest here. I think you might agree. I would hope you would agree with me. I think the Jets were the better team.
It wasn't even
Question mark.
remotely close.
Okay, I wanted to say that, but I wanted to get the confirmation.
I would say that Jake Allen had to make more high danger saves in that first period than Brossoit did in the
Oh,
entire game.
absolutely.
Just to give, yeah.
Brassois looked really, really shaky. I mean, this is only his second game of the year. So like you gotta cut him some slack. But every single shot.
Hold on, Brady. They're giving you credit for your hat, so keep going. I can hear you, but I'm gonna find a hat. I want credit too. I have a really cool hat that I want to steal some of your credit. Is it here? I have a Whalers hat that looks great, and I'd love to wear it right now. Okay, I'm not going to do it. You keep going with your amazing Yikes hat. Sorry, I tried to steal your thunder there.
No. All good, all good. Yeah, no, like Brassois looked really shaky tonight for the Jets. I mean, it was only his second game, so we can give him, cut him some slack.
Yeah.
But like, yeah, it just seemed like it wasn't a goalie duel, but it was like a one team's offense versus the other team's goalie, and whatever the forwards and defense could pick up the pieces and keep playing back. I really got to hand it to the Habs for staying in this game, especially after like in the second period when the Jets pot 2 goals within the first minute of play.
And let's be honest, those were goals where like the Habs looked bad. The Jets looked good, yeah, but the Habs looked bad.
Yeah, it was tough. Like there were certain players on the Habs that actually like stuck out to me that looked really good. I thought, Barron getting that goal early was really, awesome to see from him, especially in the Barron game, which I'm sure we'll talk about a bit more after. But but even like, obviously it might be my Jets bias. I thought Jonathan Kovacevic had a great game. He was getting his stick in a lot of important areas near the end. There were a couple of really good chances that like Kyle Connor had where he was playing really well defensively. Makes me a little sad that we let him go. But and then Caden Gooley looked really, really good for the Habs tonight. And to switch this around to the Jets side of things, for if there are any Jets fans in chat, I would hope so, considering this is a shared podcast. This is just like, Mark, when I say this to you, like I get the Habs. I understand that they played in this game too, but this
was a classic Jets loss.
This was a Winnipeg Jets hockey game, a game where you come out. The Jets look pretty decent at the start. And again, getting 19 shots in the first period. You guys go up. A night where the depth for the Jets, which is a big talking point for them, right? At the start of the season,
Lowry's on the board right away.
All three goals were from that line. Like when your third line scores 3 goals, you gotta hope
to take advantage of that.
Exactly. You gotta hope that your Ehlers, your Connors, your Scheifele's can score and just kind of force the win. Like that's the thing. I will say that the Jets, like looking at the results, the expected goals and everything like that, the Jets forced, they kept their foot on the pedal. But you got, like, I don't know. Like, and
you need those guys to show up.
Exactly.
And you know what? There's actually some parallels there, because on the Canadian side, there's Winnipeg Jets legend Yoel Armia scored a goal. Sean Monahan, who, if there's any Flames fans in here, man, I am so sorry, but like that is going to end up being one of the worst value trade. Like, just even looking back at it, I know I'm being Captain Hindsight, but like Monahan was acquired essentially for free, but not just that, they paid a first round pick to get rid of him. So that's like right now, Sean Monahan would be the scoring leader in and I guess I do mean to rub salt in their wounds by saying it, but anyways, and Justin Barron, who's trying to crack the roster, but there's some parallels there because the Canadians also, well, yes, shootout and overtime, getting their stars, but they're not getting the production from their high-end players either, a lot like the Winnipeg Jets did tonight.
Yeah, and again, like I think that you said kind of the exact point is you got to take advantage of the nights where your depth is scoring. And
big time.
Like this, again, just very classic Winnipeg Jets to get a lead and then just slowly but surely kind of slowly losing it. And one of the things with the Jets this year is that they are going to, from the start of the year, they have good depth, which basically just means that they should be able to play a good hockey game through and throughout, which really means they are going to live and die by the mistakes they make. And tonight, I won't say that they necessarily made a ton of mistakes, but the goals that the Habs scored were kind of on some weird defensive breakdowns. Like the first goal, I was saying some stuff on Twitter.
Oh no, it was you called it. He was dogging Suzuki, like, look at that pick, and I'm like, yeah, look at that pick. That was a beautiful pick by Suzuki. Hey man, it ain't cheating if you don't get caught. That's the way that, you know what I mean?
Exactly. But then even going to the second goal, the power play goal, like first off, power play, some people will say, hey, you got scored on while you're on the PK. You can throw that away. That happens to everyone. But at the same time, I look at that and you go, Lowry takes a really unnecessary trip. I'm not saying that he had a great game. Like this is, it's just looking at the whole thing, of course. Lowry had a great game, but he did take a tough trip there. And while watching that PK, there was just a big breakdown from the Jets where Brennan Dillon basically just leaves the man in front. And I'm not sure exactly if this is like what he was supposed to do, because they play like a bit of a diamond. So you can either put the goat horns on him for leaving Sean Monahan completely alone in front. To Sean Monahan's credit,
legend Sean Monahan, yeah,
like he made a great move. Like I love the pass into the slot. You go back across.
Three seconds before that, Josh Anderson was in the slot, and it was the exact same play. Like Josh Anderson's curse this year, he can't shoot. He gets high quality chances, then he fails miserably. But it was essentially the same play, maybe 30 seconds apart, right?
Yeah, no, exactly. And so it's tough to look at that goal and go, hey, should Dillon not have left his man there, or should DeMello have been quicker on his rotation? But regardless, like that's, again, it's just the mistakes for the Jets where they play, 55 out of 60 minutes. Great. And and the rest of it all comes tumbling down. But
So
again, that's not to say that the Habs didn't deserve any. Like, again, like they got to
no, I'll
force.
say it. The Habs didn't deserve that win at
No,
all.
but at the same time, like you got to force the mistakes, right? Like you
But
have to.
and there's no such thing as deserved in sports, right? So we can't say that the Jets deserve to win, right? And I
Yeah.
think what you're saying here is essentially they played the perfect Dairy Queen Blizzard game where it wasn't mixed properly. You get all the good stuff at the beginning, but then at the end, it's just emptiness, right? It's just some vanilla ice cream. And I think that's kind of, they ran out of steam there. You can't do that with those. Like, how's the feeling in Winnipeg? And we're going to get to the Habs stuff, by the way. Great comment by our friend Sebastian Jackson in the chat here. It's always a good night when you win a game that you never had a lead in. So the Habs led for exactly 0 seconds and got that win. But I think you've hit that point with the Winnipeg Jets that you've reset so many times, and they're having a good year so far, like relatively speaking. But how do you get away from this lack of really grabbing the bull by the horns by these stars when they need it most? You know, like you've moved big players, you've taken the captaincy away, you've brought in other players. What's the next solution for the Winnipeg Jets?
Like here's the thing with this team right now. I've gone through a roller coaster of emotions within the past year, because last year they were, one of the top teams going into Christmas, and then they tripped and fell their way into the playoffs. And with the whole PLD thing, getting 3 players back, Wheeler getting bought out, it's a bit of a different team now. And I've been really skeptical on whether or not the Jets should have re-signed Hellebuck and Scheifele. Now I look at them and I go, yeah, I mean, if you're looking for the next 5 years out, like the team is better with those guys. Absolutely. And I look at this team and I think they have a lot of pieces. Like the depth that they have right now is great. They essentially kept both the players they traded for at the deadline last year.
Yeah.
So, even with Velarde being injured right now, like this is still a really good team. And really, I think they're just like maybe a piece or two away from having potentially a really good roster. And again, like with the game tonight too, like I think like maybe the game is a Jets win if Connor Hellebuck is starting, right?
Yeah. Well, you know what? He's running at it like a 900 this year, but I'd say he's probably been one of the best goalies. He's been the best goalie the last 3 years. And the Jets were in that Carey Price situation, right? Do you just give up, or do you sign a contract that the last 3 years are going to be terrible?
And I wouldn't even necessarily say that those last 3 years
they will be terrible. Yeah, no, I know. I would say I guarantee it. I guarantee.
Fair enough. But yeah, I don't know. It's just interesting to watch this team. And so more or less the way I look at it, if the question that you were asking me was if I think that they have what it takes to potentially put together a team.
Step,
like I think that it's really on Chevy at this point. Like he has basically done the 50% of the work in the sense of keeping Scheifele, keeping
now he's got to decide whether to shit or get off the pot. Let's be perfectly honest, right? Yeah. And that was actually where, to bring it back to the parallels, that's where Marc Bergevin was at one point with the Habs, right? He was just right on that line, although the Jets have better underlying numbers, so it bodes a little bit better for them. Okay, to quick update here through Kay, our good friend she's only posted about goalie like twice in our chat, so I'm a little worried. Can someone check on Kay for us? Usually the goalie nation, and this is a goalie nation night, you know what I mean? This is a hell of a game from him, so someone check on Kay. But she is letting us know that Mike Matheson, so Thanos controls the Canadiens' injuries, so goalie comes back, Mike Matheson's out, balanced as all things should be, but he is only day to day with a lower body injury, and he's traveling with the team, so that's good news from an injury front. For the Canadiens, missing half of a game is essentially you are the healthiest player on the team. So that is fantastic news there. And we have David here mentioning one of the big points for the Habs this year. Like the Jets, their top players haven't necessarily excelled. But Sean Monahan has been such a revelation. And it comes to the point that every Canadiens fan wanted to trade him for a first round pick last year. That was I'll tell you, I guarantee you, teams were looking into it before he got injured. I promise you that. And I don't play with those kind of rumors. I hear them. I don't put them on the internet. But I guarantee you there was interest. Him and Josh Anderson, there were first picks dangled. Now, this year, if he stays healthy, the Canadiens are in a situation where it's like, okay, this guy has been playing well for us to the point that maybe we should consider keeping him because he's not that old. We keep hearing how it's like, oh my God, old man rising from the ashes. He just turned 29 like 7 days ago.
And
You know what I mean?
what's his contract like again?
Right now
can't
he's
remember.
on a 1 year. It's a 1 year deal, and the chat will get me but I think it was like 2 million or something. It was a trade deadline, glorious, and I'll let the chat pick it up for me. But it was a darling deal for the Montreal Canadiens. It was a 1 year contract, and it was essentially the Habs saying, "Listen, give us a discount, and you'll get your playing time." Because if we're being realistic, he only has one more big contract in him. So it was kind of we know that we're not paying you full value, but you're going to get full value from someone else. So the question becomes now, can you afford trading him? Because you're looking at guys like Kirby Dach. Hey, let's be honest, there's some injury issues there. Suzuki has been great, but you need more depth down the middle. Jake Evans is never really going to be more than a fourth line center. Oh, there you go. The Orfreeze comes through. $2 million for Sean Monahan.
That's what I was seeing as well.
Plus bonus, right? So it depends whatever he'll hit his targets. But that is a hell of a deal if you're a team looking to add a player at the deadline. Sean Monahan will probably cost you about $400,000 to $500,000 because it's all accrued, right? Mm-hmm. He's going to be a guy who can play on the power play, jump in your top six. He's great in transition, fantastic underlying numbers, and this will get all the dinosaur GMs excited. He's good at faceoffs.
Oh, so he is.
I'm wondering, right? Like, if you're the Habs, do you keep Sean Monahan even though you know you're not going to make the playoffs? What do you think?
Well, actually, I'm going to turn it back to you because I think it has to do again with the question you asked me. Like, do you think that this team can take the next step? Because I'm looking at the kind of it's just like the depth of the Canadiens here, and they have striking resemblances to the Jets too. I will say you guys are missing a Vezina level goalie. Unfortunately, you guys had that before and no longer do now. But like, do you see the Habs being sellers at the deadline? Because
absolutely, you have to. Okay, and before, hey, Baby Yoda, always good to see a little bit of a Grogu here saying that the Habs fans have to get over Scheifele. Telling you right now, they're never going to get over Scheifele. That's
I enjoy it's fun. That. It is
you know what I really liked was Lowry giving it to like he was doing the Hulk Hogan after the goal. No one noticed that, and I know Habs fans probably didn't like it, but I love that kind of stuff. You know what I mean? Just fun, like you give it to me. It's all for
the show. It's entertainment.
Exactly. So it's all part of the entertainment. You can't get mad at other people for having fun at a sports game, Baby Yoda. You just got to roll with it. That's the fun of sports. Mm-hmm. Okay, so I would say right now the issue with Montreal Canadiens is that they can't get drunk on their own supply a little bit. Like, this was a fun comeback win, and there was a fun comeback win a couple nights ago, and a couple nights before that. It's not real. It's an oasis. You know, it's really just
mirage.
It's a mirage in the desert, and some people think that maybe Monahan will eventually be the kind of guy that keeps the glue of the lineup together, and I get that, I understand that, but let's be perfectly honest. You look at the age group of every other core player, and it's 5, 6, 7 years, so you can't afford to invest in that. And Sean Monahan's going to want a big deal. So if I'm the Montreal Canadiens, look, get ready, because I'm trading Josh Anderson, I'm trading Jake Allen, I'm trading Sean Monahan, I'm trading Jonathan Kovacevic. Like, I'm acquiring guys that have a pulse just so I have enough guys left in my lineup. You know what I mean? So I'm going all out with anyone 28 and over. If you get a sniff on it, have a good life. Like, you know, it's really time for the Canadiens to commit to this. And if you can add a first round pick or two to the next group, that will help you in the future. When your team's already starting to do good, you're still going to have an influx of talent, right? So you're keeping those supply lines going. So Brady, I slam my fist every time I hear Ken Hughes saying, like, we really like Josh Anderson. Hey, I get it. He's a handsome fellow right there, and he's fun to watch. But like, who gives a shit? Trade him. If
someone's offering you a first round pick, you take it for Josh Anderson.
Exactly,
like, absolutely,
exactly. Yeah, no, Baby Yoda. Okay, listen. The reason Montreal fans were booing him is because he almost killed Jake Evans. Don't be an idiot, Baby Yoda. Come on, be fun. We're having fun out here. All right. Anyways, I would say that right now, and Brady, get this, it wasn't just a first round pick that was offered by teams. Some teams offered more than a first round pick for Josh Anderson.
That's well, NHL GMs are
right.
They're certainly our player, or our smart ones. But
exactly.
That's the reason they get paid the big bucks, and I sit here and talk to a bunch of people online, right? So
exactly, right. You know, but that's what makes me laugh whenever people are like, well, you're not a GM. Like, I know. Sorry, I finished my my university degree. I guess I can. No, sorry. That's a shot towards ex-players, but you know, it's a lot of these guys, and I don't want to be mean, but you're jumping into a high business area with like no high school degree. It's not going to work out all that well. You know what I mean? Just in terms of running a business. So if I'm the Canadiens, I jump at the chance of getting a first round pick for a guy like Josh Anderson. Let's be perfectly honest. He's not worth a first round pick. The perception in the league is that he's this amazing fireball dude, but he really isn't. So yeah, I get rid of Josh Anderson. I'd even started a second round pick right now. That's my starting point.
And yeah, I think it truly comes down to, do you think the Habs have a chance to win this year? And if you even have to hesitate to think about it, then it's like, exactly. Okay, well, you look at the team, you look at their makeup, they're a young team. And so it really truly is about what any hockey team wants is for all of their assets to peak at the right moment, and at the exact same time, basically. And it's just not going to happen right now. Like Cole Caulfield's not going to have his best season and go into the playoffs and drop a goal a game or anything like that. Same with Nick Suzuki. I mean, hey, if he does, happy for you guys, but yeah, like the goal for the Habs is to be a competitive team in 2-3 years, maybe 1 to 2-3 years. I would say. I think
the GMs are, again, they're kind of smelling their own farts a little bit. I think the Habs think they're closer than they really are. But the Kirby Dach injury was a pretty good example of how the team, everyone realized, like, oh my God, you lose one player and it's game over. And good teams can get by without a Kirby Dach. And I'm not trying to insult him, but it just goes to show, right? Like, you lose one guy that's good in transition and it's game over on the season. So yeah, I just hope that as much as they need these veterans and whatnot, the NHL has proven time and time again that you really have to go for it. You really have to, tank it up real good. And I don't think the Canadiens will be as bad as I expected, but you can't turn your nose at first round picks. Like, who cares if Josh Anderson's going to be a good veteran? Who gives a crap? You know what I mean? Go get them a big brother or something. Like, get them a YMCA gym membership. Keep them busy. Like, we don't need Josh Anderson to be helping these guys out. So to me, no hesitance, do it. But I'll tell you right now, Ken Hughes doesn't want to trade him.
I think to kind of bookend this type of topic that we have, I think that the Florida Panthers did a lot of harm to a lot of NHL teams that are right around the middle of the pack. The notion of you just have to get in is very, very strong these days, and I think it's a little far-fetched. While again, you do just have to get in. Look at the Habs getting to the finals.
Yeah, but they Carey priced it, right? Like, maybe
I know.
If I'm the Jets. If I'm the Jets, like, I believe Connor Hellebuyck can do that. But right now, other than that, no deal. I think they shouldn't be even talking about playoffs this year. So, hey, chat's acting up a little bit. Hey, we're having some fun. Keep it, just, again, everybody's just a fan here. We'll just keep it light. For the most part, it's been fun, lighthearted. If you have a question, don't hesitate. Throw it in the chat. We'll get to it in the third segment. We're going to wrap up fairly quickly tonight because apparently some people have lives. I do not, but we're going to let you all get to your party. And also, we have a birthday here for Triza and Trinka, which are the same person. So so happy birthday to Trizinka, who's having a birthday today. And shout out to everyone in the chat. If you could like the stream and subscribe, then Steve Dangle will stop yelling at me in the stream. So right now I'll check on Robert. Will let me know how long we've been going, but I think we've been live for about 20 minutes. Perfect. So we'll do another segment. We'll get the fan input in there. Brady, real quick, I wanted to hit on Kaiden Guhle because I want to get your opinion. This is a guy who there's been injury woes, but when he's played well. When he's played with David Savard, it's been hell. But when he's been unanchored from a veteran, he's been very good. Who would you like? I'm hoping he can kind of emerge into like a Josh Morrissey type player. I don't know if that's maybe a little more physical, but I don't know if that's maybe aiming too high. But when you see Kaiden Guhle on the other side of the ice, who does he remind you of?
That's tough. Oh, excuse me. I unfortunately have not watched enough Kaiden Guhle to really get.
No, but like just tonight, right? Like he's to me because he's doing something where he's being physical. First of all, which was hilarious, they call it tripping on Guhle for Nemestikov. Like, it was interference. Don't get me wrong. Yeah. 30 seconds later, Kovacevic trips, and I forget who. Maybe it was Mason Appleton, but trips like clear as day.
Yeah.
And here's the best part. the referee's staring at the trip, and he dodges the Jets player. He jumps over him, but he doesn't call the penalty, which tells you everything you need to know about the NHL. He was clearly making up for the mistake on the one before, but anyhow,
Yeah.
King Gooley's being physical. He's being offensively, he's been great this year. The
How
Habs are
big is
kind of
he?
hoping he emerges as like that 1-2 guy. I just don't know if it's realistic to expect a guy like Caden Gooley to really be a number one guy in long term, you know?
Yeah, like I kind of think that what you said about Morrissey kind of rings pretty true to him, because he does have a bit of an offensive flair to himself. He is
Yeah.
a bit more physical from what I could tell.
Yeah.
But yeah, like, and but also like I you know, as someone who watched Josh Morrissey develop, a good partner is always important, and it's very interesting. You noted that whenever he's played with any sort of veteran, he hasn't had any success. But he was with Barron tonight, I believe, right?
Yeah,
Like
yeah,
two
but
young guys.
the good part is it doesn't matter as long as it's not David Saval.
Oh, it's him specifically.
I don't want to be mean, but like, and I like David Saval, but they'll say stuff like Saval will anchor the second pairing, and I'm like, oh, Saval's an anchor on the second pairing. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like,
exactly.
yeah.
But yeah, like looking like all I can really do is kind of compare him to Morrissey at this moment, and with how Morrissey developed, he found a lot of chemistry playing with Jacob Trouba earlier on in his career. They were both two young guys, and they were both on the exact same page. And then, you see all the Jets defensive, players leave, and Morrissey's kind of twirling in the wind, having guys like Tucker Poolman, Nathan Beaulieu on their wings. And I'm not really quite sure where David Savard is exactly in his career, but I know he was not.
As Ian notes, Saval's not even playing, and he's catching strays left and right there. Like, and it's funny because I always criticize Andrew. No matter what, Andrew could be like, "I'm like, hey man, it's a nice day today." He's like, "Yeah, but David Saval had like."
But his name is French. His name is French.
Yeah. Poor David Saval.
Yeah. And yeah, so when it came to Morrissey's development, like once he was able to be put with a partner where he felt comfortable, even with like Dylan DeMello getting kind of the slot next to him, really stabilized him and gave him the chance to be a really effective player. And so it's really nice to see that, it seems like he has a lot of chemistry with Barron, and Barron, a young player too. Like really, that's a great it's a great pairing to have going forward. I mean, like you basically have either a top four pair right there. And I think that Caden Gooley could be kind of a 1B kind of guy.
That's kind of where I see him too. Yeah, you need that partner.
Exactly. Yeah. And that's what I think is the difference between, again, like going back to Morrissey, against
like
a guy
elite and very good, right?
Exactly.
Like,
Morrissey always needed someone to stabilize him to play. I mean, no matter what, if you have an anchor next to you, it's going to be tough. But yeah, like if Gooley can continue to have his success and have his chemistry with Barron or anyone else,
for the Habs.
Like he looks good. He's fast. He's got a great shot. He was up in the rush a lot, I found tonight, and
he was joining, and he was controlled entries. That's something that the Habs just the key. It was on the Yoel Armia, who's scored in 100% of his games this year, but it was all about Caden Gooley on that play. Like I don't want to. It sucks that we're taking away from Armia, but it was all about that zone entry by
it's a team game, right?
Yeah, by Caden Gooley.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, by the way, Disturb mentions Robert is the MVP of that. Yeah, absolutely. Yes. So Disturb knows well. And there's a good question here from Thomas, who mentions he wants to get our opinion here. And it's a perfect segue because Brady threw us onto the Barron thing. What do you like about Justin Barron? What don't you like? How does he project? It's funny because Justin Barron's, out of all these young guys, he's the only guy that really went back down to Laval. They did the old classic, play in the AHL, get your minutes. He was the first guy to be in the AHL for the Habs that was on pace for a 25-goal season since PK Subban. He played a ton, and when he came back last year, you could see he had that, like, he was really full of confidence. He was great. Now, the issue with Justin Barron is when you give him too much time to think, he starts to really overthink, and especially when he's in his own zone, right? Like, and he'll give up the puck, bad plays, really brutal plays where you're like, man, you had all the time in the world. So we're not seeing that as much. We're seeing a confident Justin Barron, and I think it goes to show the value. And I don't want to hit on Slavkovsky too much because I'm glad that no one's really talking about it yet because I want to write about it. But the value of giving guys time in the AHL. And I'm one of those, like, move over, old man. The future is now. But when it comes to defensemen, you really need that confidence. And if you don't have it in the NHL, it's impossible to get. You have to go back down to the AHL. So what I will say is that he speaks, but Barron speaks to good development. He's got a great offensive instinct. His shot is fantastic. He looks like he's skating on velvet filled marshmallow clouds out there. So it's beautiful to watch. Good zone entries. His defense has been okay. I don't know where he projects. So that's the question. Like, is he a Nathan Beaulieu without the fighting? Because at first Nathan Beaulieu is really offensive, or is he a guy that you can really line up in your top three? You know what I mean? Like maybe be like one of your core defensemen. The Montreal Canadiens need Justin Barron to land because they're right now the right side. You have Logan Mailloux and you have Justin Barron are essentially your two prospects there, right? So, and David Reinbacher, sorry. But they're all, but they're all fairly far out. So Barron's the next, like, he's on deck. You know what I mean? Like, he's ready to swing. So, all I say in this is that when it comes to defensemen, very rarely do they spend too much time in the AHL. But there's a laundry list of guys that were undercooked and went straight into the NHL. So I know I'm the dinosaur this time around. I'm gonna preach. Always be patient with your guys. It's the same reason I like the Habs right now. Joshua Roy, he didn't score tonight, but last I checked, he was leading the AHL in scoring. And after 2 games, Habs fans are like, "Fuck this, get him in Montreal like right now." So in my opinion, and I get it. Montreal's so starved for offensive talent, but you leave him there, leave him for a whole year. Just like PK Subban did, and then went on to win a Norris. So again, I'm just all about slowing it down for the guys that are coming up from the AHL. And I think
what would be the point for this year of bringing him up, right? Like, other than just giving him the opportunity, which it has merit, but at the same time, it's like, if you're just doing it to be like, oh well, he's better than the players we have right now, it's like, well, are they trying to win?
Right?
Like, obviously you're trying to win, but are they trying to win? Like, you know what I mean?
No, exactly. All right. Oh, and Liz has to go. Bye, Liz. Bye. And Dina is leaving. And don't forget to click a quick like in the chat as you head out. I think we're approaching about 30 minutes. We have a ton of people here, though, so I don't want to cut it out too quickly. If you do have a question, don't hesitate. Throw it out in the chat. You have Brady here from Winnipeg, Game Over, and you have me, Marc Dumont from Winnipeg, from Game Over Montreal. Perfect. We're gonna go. Yeah, maybe a few more questions. You have Robert here is just confirm. Maybe a few more questions. Let you all go. One thing that I did like seeing from the Montreal Canadiens tonight was Tanner Pearson get a little, feisty. It was a stupid fight, but seeing a guy like Tanner Pearson and Yoel Armia find the rhythm, I don't know, man. I guess I am really turning into that old school dude because I like seeing the veterans get their last chance at a boxing match in the big ring. So I was happy to see Yoel Armia score. And I am so happy to see Tanner Pearson in the NHL scoring happy. I really think he got screwed over big time by the Vancouver Canucks.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I get what they're saying. Oh, he wasn't healthy, so we didn't give him a qualifying offer. Well, why wasn't he healthy? We're all trying to find the guy who did this, So yeah, I would say this. I would say that he's got a chip on his shoulder and he's going to play himself into another contract. And the veterans, the great part is that he's so slow, but he's so smart that, for example, tonight he stripped the puck off Connor, who, other than that, I think defensively Connor was actually great, which is rare for him. But Tanner Pearson, just a fantastic story to me. And I love seeing it. So I'm all about that And again, he's 31 years old.
And
you're not that old, man.
I'm looking at your guys like lineup and having your third line as Pearson, Monahan, and Gallagher. Like, it just very much reminds me of how like the Jets have their third line, where it's like Nino Niederreiter, Lowry, and Appleton. Like, it's the exact same style, maybe a little more offensive flair with Monahan and Pearson.
Yeah,
but yeah, it's everyone loves when their third line, when their meat and potatoes guys go out there and play the game. Yeah, absolutely.
And then they turn around and complain about coffee, which I think I did that about Suzuki tonight. No, I'm not moving to Winnipeg, Jeff, but I actually love. I don't know why I said it like that, but I love Winnipeg. Big fan. I'm big fan of Winnipeg. No, it's because whenever I'm in a sitting down drinking bourbon or with a bunch of writers, and everyone starts piling on Winnipeg, and I'm the guy that's like, Jesus Christ, man, like, relax. It's actually a great city. And most of these guys are just repeating what the other dude said, and one of them was from Buffalo, so like, relax there. You know what I mean? Really good question from Kay here, and I like Arbor Jack. I think he's so fun. He's not just a unicorn in the sense that he came in there and he stole Zach Cassian's soul and he bullied Ryan Reeves. He's actually playing quite well in terms of his underlying numbers. Right now, he's leading the Montreal Canadiens in expected goals, in Corsi for, in goals for, in high danger chances. Like, he's doing quite well. But she brings it up: is he negating that with his penalties? And statistically speaking, yes, he's absolutely. There's, you absolutely have to remind yourself that putting your team on the penalty kill twice a night, you have to be Wayne Gretzky to make up for that. You know what I mean? So I love Arbor, and she mentions here, is he getting a rough ride from the referees? Yeah, but he made that bed. You know what I mean? So he's sleeping.
But also, did he take 2 penalties or just 1 tonight?
I don't know, but I remember being like, that's your classic Arbor. There, he could have a sponsorship for the ticky tacky Arbor penalty of the night. You know?
Well, he was the one who took the penalty right near the end of regulation. And that's
his move too. That's what he does.
So very obviously, very clearly, and like maybe it was a mistake, but he very obviously and very clearly high sticked Ehlers, and then he goes to the ref being like, "What are you talking about? What are you?" And then they show the replay, and it's just like right in the face.
I wish more NHL players would do. Who was it that looked at his replay and he was like, "Oh yeah, fuck yeah."
Oh, Vermistrov. It's Vermistrov.
Yeah. that's exactly what I mean. We got a question from my favorite combination person. So Triznica asks, Trizak and Trinka are the same person for the records. Triznik asks, will Logan Stanley ever be freed?
What do you mean by that? Like, do you guys want him? You guys can trade for him. Would you like Logan Stanley? I
previously enjoyed Logan Stanley. No, it doesn't.
I mean, hey, he did score two goals on Carey Price in the playoffs, so give him some respect. But realistically, Logan Stanley, if he will ever be freed, maybe not. Honestly, I would imagine he might be on his way out. Ville Heinola seemed like he was going to make the team this year until he got.
Well, thank God Liz isn't here, eh?
Yeah, she just left, unfortunately, but yeah. So with Heinola being a player who was usually waivers exempt, he normally has been sent down. He has basically earned a spot this year. It seemed like he very much took a spot away from, whether it be like he was potentially taking a spot in the top 6 away from like Nate Schmidt. So so Logan Stanley right now, I would say, is available. The only good thing that you can say about Ville Heinola getting injured is that it gave the Jets a little bit more time to figure out what they are doing on defense. They've got a great young guy in Declan Chisholm, who is now not waivers exempt. So basically they don't want the same, Jonathan Kovacevic thing to happen to him. So they're going to keep him there. And Logan Stanley's 25 now. So he
looks like such a stoic man. I'm looking at him with Hockey DB. God damn, he could be Superman there. Look at this guy.
He's looked like that since he was 18.
He's looked like that since he was born. I think
can you see why the Jets maybe considered or not considered, but did trade up for him?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, that's two hockey players I've called handsome tonight. So that's who's the Josh Anderson, of course. The other day he fell in a paint me like one of your French girls pose, and it was just absolutely perfect. We got suggested, Mrs. Turbis thing, there should be like recurring members, live streams, custom emotes. When I did that with the Habs, people love that stuff. So, but I am 1,000 years old, and in my story, back in my day, we used to wear an onion on our belts because it was the style at the time, and we used to have bees on our quarters. We used to say, "Give us 5 bees for a nickel," we'd say. So we're gonna ask maybe Robert can look into getting us custom emojis. That way, we'll make his life even more complicated. What do you think, Robert? Yeah, he's shrugging. He's shrugging right now. We can't ask more from Robert. When we have a question from Ehlers here, at the same time, Trzak and Trink are posting one after the other. You can't fool me. I know you're the same person. Where is our Nick Ehlers question? Well, here, I have a question. Nick Ehlers is the kind of guy that I thought at one point, this guy should be the captain. Like, to bring it back to the Jake Evans thing, without when Nick Ehlers protected Jake Evans, I thought that was such a not just a good move. It was such a like an integrity move by him. Like even the Habs didn't give a shit about Jake Evans. They were going for revenge. And
Yeah.
Nick Ehlers is the only one that had the presence of mind to protect him. To me, that speaks to more than just a hockey player. That's a good person. I was thinking maybe he becomes captain. What's going on with Nick Ehlers right now?
Oh, that's an interesting question.
What's going on with him real quick?
So just to give you the long and short of it, Nick Ehlers is a player who throughout his entire career has been always near the top of the league in 5v5 points per 60.
Yeah.
The issue
is good,
and
all the way back to Halifax, he looked like an impact player,
a stud, and he is like even tonight. Yeah. Tonight he didn't have. Tonight I'll admit he had not the greatest game. There were a couple of really bad giveaways, but that's going to happen when you have the puck, and having the puck is good. So Nick Ehlers is just a guy who I think has never really gotten to like cement his spot on this team. He's always been kind of riding shotgun with Laine, riding shotgun with Paul Stastny, riding shotgun now with Cole Perfetti. And there's always just kind of been Kyle Connor sitting in that top left wing spot and never really allowed him to get up there. Last year at the start of the season, we were going to see a Connor Scheifele Ehlers line. That was the plan until Ehlers got hurt, I think 1 or 2 games into the season. And then after that, they figured out what kind of they liked on the top end. And ever since then, even going way back, he's always been a guy who's played second line minutes, third line minutes, but has always been really super effective in them. And so he's just a guy who I think is just really underutilized. But at the same time, he, like I'll even say it, like I remember last year, everyone was screaming and whining for him to get more ice time. But in some of those games, he even was mentioning that, he didn't feel like he had his legs out under him all the time. So he's a player who maybe is a bit better in shorter or in a little bit less ice time and is able to really go put the pedal to the metal, because his thing is speed. Obviously, he's one of, if not the fastest player in the league. And just a zone entry machine. So I wish that the Jets utilized him a little bit better. I'm glad now that he is on the top power play. It does suck that it only happened because Gabe Vilardi got hurt. But he looks at home there mostly. I mean, again, today was a bit rough. Some really tough, weird giveaways. I think he also kind of wore the goat horns on one of the goals tonight. I can't remember exactly which. Oh, it was the Armia goal. He was playing the defensive as the defenseman there, and he turned towards the boards. But also I could point out that Scheifele didn't take a single stride past the red line. So as always with the Jets, you can blame a goal on many people not doing their jobs.
Is the kind of guy that will get blamed more than others. It's just the way he is.
And like maybe who knows what the reason is. There's a lot more that goes into how a coach decides where a player deserves to be in the lineup. The reality is he could just be a guy who is like a drill messer upper. And so like things like that can get you on a coach's bad side. Maybe he isn't the guy that you go to right away in certain instances, but I love the guy. He's my favorite player on the Jets. I'll always be in his corner.
Team Ehlers all the way.
Exactly. He's a great guy too.
Okay. Seb's leaving. So I got, some people are Seb. Cheers, Sebastian Jackson. Always good to have you in here. Disturb real quick. You're asking what the Habs are going to do with the 3 goalie rotation. There's going to be some movement, but there's no rush. They don't have to. It doesn't matter. And right now they just kind of have a buffet of like mediocre goalies, and they're just waiting for someone to pay the fee, right? So if they do get something back, they're not going to get a huge return. They're asking, how old am I? I'll tell you this. I bought Bad by Michael Jackson on first I had the vinyl, and then I had it on a something called laser disc. So you can go Google laser disc.
Oh, you had a laser disc?
Oh, hell awesome. Yeah, I had a laser disc.
That's Absolutely.
Awesome. I was one of the 7 guys that had a laser disc. So my first concert was Aerosmith on the Toys in the Attic tour. So anyways, I'm just saying very, very old. Okay. Thank you so much to everyone in the chat. Again, if you could like and subscribe, we appreciate it. Thank you so much for joining us on this Saturday night. We appreciate everybody that comes and hangs out with us in Game Over. You guys are great. Fantastic community. We're really lucky to have this kind of support. Honestly, every single day when we do our recaps, we talk our meetings, our WhatsApp chats, we always talk about how great the community is. So thank you all so much. I will say Thank you to Brady, and give him a chance to say his thing in just one moment, and he's going to take us out. But also thank you to Robert for running the chat. Robert, as always, a huge part of our Game Over podcast. And before I throw it over to Brady to take us home, I just want to say, as per usual, bye, Claire. Bye.
Oh, am I going now?
You're bringing us home. Bring us home.
I'll bring us home.
Brady.
Okay. You shouldn't have done this. I'm usually terrible with our outros, but thank you all for watching. We really do appreciate it. I'm on Game Over Winnipeg. So if you happen to be a Jets fan also, please do check us out. Follow me on Twitter at NHL Chunky. Follow at SDPN Sports. Follow Marc Dumont. Is it Marc P. Dumont? I can't remember.
Don't follow me.
Don't follow Marc. Don't follow Marc. But yeah, have yourselves a wonderful evening. Stay safe this weekend, especially if you're going to any Halloween parties. Thank you so much for joining us. Have yourselves a wonderful evening and weekend. We'll see you guys soon.